Ms. Legalista here. Thank you for joining. I've put together 8 real estate videos that I've covered in the past that talk about everything from rental, real estate scams, mortgage fraud, deed theft, attorneys who are doing real estate deals, people who have pools in their backyard, finding their properties. Look, properties listed on site and people don't even know about it. Then we also have the babysitter real estate incident. You guys, they just keep coming up with them. They do not stop. Let's go ahead and jump into these 8 real estate videos, ones you really need to know about. Ms. Legalista here. Thank you for joining the video. Now, I've talked about mortgage fraud before, these fake deeds. I've talked about Graceland and how there was this fake mortgage that was supposedly on Graceland, and these scammers tried to foreclose on the property. They tried to take Graceland. Think about that for a second. If they will go after Graceland, then they will go after anybody. So no one is immune from this. No one is immune. We're going to talk about a couple of different kinds of real estate fraud in this video. I want you to hear what this reporter has to say. And then there is a clip at the end where they talk about what the government can do. This is something that you can check and see whether or not it's available in your county.
It could be the perfect house, the perfect property, but is it too good to be true? According to the FBI, its Internet Crime Complaint Center received more than 9,500 complaints about real estate-based fraud last year, adding up to more than $145 million in losses, more than the money lost to identity theft crimes. And while real estate internet crimes were down overall in 2023 compared to the previous 2 years, Ohio's top experts are warning against a rise in one particular type of fraud.
Okay, so let me stop before he announces these, because I want to talk about the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. I'm going to drop that link in the description. Anytime you have experienced some sort of internet scam or fraud, you can actually go to this website, this FBI website, and upload your information there so that they can check it out. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be able to get to you. Just think about how many people you are in line behind, but it's helpful for them to be able to track what's going on and to get this information back out to us, consumers, people, residents, so that we know how best to protect ourselves.
Fake real estate listings that could involve trying to sell a property owned by somebody else or forging documents to transfer a deed to somebody else. News 5's Clay Lepard examines just how easily that can be done.
Okay, listings and deeds.
It's a property not worth a second glance. 5 undeveloped acres in Lorain County that attorney Christina Hronik was in charge of selling after the death of her client in October 2020.
The gentleman passed away without a will.
The courts take time, and when she got around to it, she noticed the owner had actually sold the property, valued at $120,000, for only $20,000. The problem was his signature was dated more than 6 months after he died.
It was
okay. This is what happens all the time. This is how scammers get tripped up. They think they're so smart, they're so greedy, and they're trying to get things so fast. This is the evidence right here. And let me tell you, back with the Graceland one, it was the notary. There is always something that you're not going to be able to catch because what you're doing is a lie. And something is going to trip you up. With Graceland, they had used this notary, used that to say, yes, this was a real mortgage that was taken out on this property. And guess what? The notary signed an affidavit saying, no, I never notarized that. So then your whole scheme falls apart. Look at this. You've got the date of death, October 19th, 2020. Now, unless this person is coming back up from the grave, this person is not signing something over May 24th, 2021. So the question then becomes, who signed this document if this person is no longer with us? Well, again, here's your evidence right here that something very wrong is going on.
clear fraud, clear as day. 6 months after he died, somebody created a deed, forged his name, got it notarized, recorded it with Lorain County Recorder, and he was no longer entitled.
Hronik says that property was in the process of being sold again to someone else. but they were able to stop it to prove who really owned it.
It is a very scary thing.
Daphne Hawk runs the Ohio Division of Real Estate and Professional Licensing and says they're seeing more cases of this, rushed real estate listings that aren't properly vetted by agents or notaries, only to learn that the owner isn't the one selling it.
So here's another thing, if you are a buyer, you are now more likely in a position where you're going to be hiring a buyer's agent to represent you. Rules change. We had a big lawsuit. I'm not going to get into that here. But now we're moving to the situation where the seller is going to have the seller's agent and the buyer, hey, go out, get your own agent. Your agent needs to be doing due diligence on these properties, not depending on whatever information that the seller put in the listing. The buyer's agent is the person that you are hiring to represent you. So they should be looking out for your interests because guess what? You are paying them. And so there's going to be a higher expectation that they vet this information and not simply just take it as being truthful just because a listing agent put it out there and just because the seller gave it to the listing agent to put out there.
Most likely target of these scams are individuals who own their property free and clear. There's not a mortgage on it. And the other thing is they're often seniors.
From what you've seen, is it hard to do?
No.
So what can be done? What can you as a homeowner do about it? You can sign up for property fraud alerts, where the county recorder will notify you if anything with your name comes through their offices. For attorney Christina Hronik, she would love to see security taken one step further.
It's another form of identity theft, is basically what it is.
By requiring an attorney to act as the notary in real estate transfers.
All attorneys are notaries. Okay. And so therefore, if I am going to be notarizing something for someone who I don't know, I'm definitely getting ID. If an attorney is involved in fraud, they're going to lose their license to practice.
So let me stop here for a second because I do want to clear up something that she said. Now, we are in different states, and so there are different requirements. In the state that I'm in, an attorney is not automatically a notary. Nobody's automatically a notary. You're going to have to jump through some hoops here. Well, I don't want to say nobody, but attorneys have to jump through hoops too. They also have to fill out a form. They might not have to take the course. They might not have to do some other things, but they still have to go through the North Carolina Secretary of State's office to get their notary certificate. They just can't be out here notarizing and using a notary stamp to say that this person is who they are. Okay, there might be some other processes that they can use, but it's not going to be that. So check the requirements in your state. Check the requirements in your state before you decide whether or not you're going to use this notary or that notary. Look them up. Most states have a directory online where you can double check and see if someone is actually a notary. I know this is a lot. There are all of these steps now that you have to check and do. You have to do your due diligence. If you are going to be spending $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on a house, why would you not take a few minutes to go online, put in this person's information and make sure that they are a notary? As an attorney, I feel a whole lot of responsibility. And there are some things sometimes I'm just like, okay, so let me verify this and I'll get back to you, because you never know who's calling you. You never know what their angle is. And it's really hard to vet people when they're just calling you over the phone. So you do have to do your due diligence. And sometimes when people are calling me and telling me something, I'm literally Googling them and typing it in and checking LinkedIn and trying to verify, is this person who they say they are? And when it comes to property records and transfers, there are some cases I don't even touch. They literally have to be coming to me from a legitimate source before I will even work with them. Some of these nebulous people calling and asking if I do real estate, I say no. There's just too much fraud going on now.
And I know most attorneys would not risk that.
$7,000 and 6 months later, Hronik says they were able to recover this property and ultimately sell it themselves. A luxury she says not everyone has.
If it happens, hope you have the money to fix it.
this piece about signing up your property for alerts with your county. Now I'm going to have to go back and do some more research on that. We've talked about getting the I guess the property title protection where they notify you. That's something that you spend money on, but I definitely want to do another video on this company or whoever that they had up here so we can learn a little bit more about them. Because if the government is going to be sending out property alerts and this is something you can sign up for, then that is a great thing. But I have the feeling this may be going through a middleman company, and that's what you're signing up for. So I'm going to have to do my research on this and get back to you so that we can know exactly what your options are. But it would be great if every county said, hey, when something's recorded against your title, you're going to get some sort of notification that this has occurred. Just like I talk about those bank alerts that you can sign up for, text alerts. Every time there's a transaction over a certain amount, you get an email, you get a text, you get some sort of notification so that you know what's going on.
Man, oh man, just last week, Senate Bill 94 passed in the Ohio House and the Senate. It still awaits a signature from the governor, but would allow for a county recorder's office to accept digital documents. Real estate experts say this could make forgery more difficult than simply walking into a courthouse with signed documents.
So I guess I'm not truly following what that process is going to be, because to me that sounds like that's going to be even easier if somebody can just open an account and upload a fake document instead of now having to go over to the county, show up. I don't know. They both sound really easy to me in terms of the fact that people can just do this and we don't have any sort of second look at this to make sure that this is not fraud. And that's why it's on us as owners to make sure we're doing our due diligence and staying on top of what's going on with our property. But there you go. Again, if this has provided you with more information than you need, and you're thinking to yourself, I am about tired of your videos because now I'm just worried all the time about losing my whole life savings, my house, my savings for my kids' college funds, and my retirement listening to you. But again, we're just going to take this piece by piece. It's like eating an elephant. You eat it one bite at a time. So if you can just think about that one action you're going to take this week, or that one action you're going to take this month, and every month you just continually try to find ways to protect your personal information, your financial information, find ways to keep these hackers out as best you can, because that's never 100% foolproof. If you can just take one bite at a time, then you can increase the level of protection that you have. All right, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hopefully this provided you with some helpful information that you can use. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace. I told you this Graceland thing, that it was happening to everyday people. And if it was not already happening to everyday people, it was going to. Ms Legalista here. Thank you for joining the video. I want to talk about another foreclosure, and this time it's not somebody big like Elvis Presley's former residence, Graceland, but it's just some guy who owns a house down in the state of Georgia. Foreclosure. Supposedly, he had taken out a second mortgage. He says it is not him. It is the same sort of setup, Let's go to Atlanta news first so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about here, and we can discuss what happened in his case. How do you protect yourself from this?
I only owed them a few dollars.
Nothing brings light to this Ellenwood home quite like Eric Clark.
Paperwork back and forward.
He's been the owner of the DeKalb County property for 20 years.
Okay.
Until now.
He said that he was the new owner.
Littered on the table, documents detailed the dilemma. July 2022, a real estate agent left a letter on Eric's front door stating this property has been foreclosed and purchased by Ace Homes, LLC.
Now, let me stop right there. Wait, let me finish that part.
Call to discuss. Record.
Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, one of the questions that I have, and I haven't finished watching this is way longer than we're going to spend time on. But one of the things is for the foreclosure to have already taken place and him just to get notice, like he should have gotten a notice So it's interesting that they're starting with that and that's how he found out, because the process doesn't quite work like that. They have to show that they have provided him with notice of this. So I don't know. I'm asking some questions here.
Records appear to show he took out a second mortgage loan on the home. He never made payments, forcing it to default, leading to the foreclosure. But Eric never paid it because he says it was not him, claiming the second mortgage loan has his signature forged.
I've never had a second mortgage, just the bottom line. And I'm no fool, I know right from wrong.
Eric filed multiple DeKalb County police reports alleging this is fraud. The 56-year-old described to police, quote, fake documents to steal his house.
That was the same thing that happened with Graceland. And I'm telling you, the granddaughter, Riley Coe, was able to go in and say, these documents are fake. And I don't know if you saw my video on that really broke that down. They had a signature from a notary public up there who actually existed, but that notary said, I never signed anything for Lisa Marie Presley. And I'm pretty sure she would probably remember that. And that is a fake. They had used her name on that. And she said, no, I never did that.
Citing the realtor, Mehboob Omar, wrongfully has the deed to his home.
Well, I've been stressed out. I had to speak to a psychiatrist. I was just
I'm sure.
Just lost in the shuffle.
Right now in DeKalb State Court, he's in a legal fight. It's not his only battle.
Putting your mask on.
Kidney failure. Due to a bad bout of COVID, Eric requires dialysis 3 times a week.
This is awful. So he's already having some personal health issues, and then to have these people trying to take away his home. And really and truly, I don't have to go through the rest of it. I just really want to spend some time here talking about what this looks like for regular people, in terms of how do you keep your property and how do you keep somebody from doing this to you? And the reality is, it's almost impossible to do. I used to handle real estate transactions. I have not handled them in a long time, unless they're people that I know or businesses that I already have a relationship with, because I think there's too much fraud in the industry. I think there's entirely too many loopholes and just gaps in the process that make it easy for somebody to go in and just file some paperwork, show up in court, state that, oh yeah, this person has been served, and then take your property. Now, in North Carolina, it may be a little bit more difficult to do that because the sheriff is going to serve the paperwork, but there's some ways around that. If they say, oh, they can't find the person and we're going to do service by publication, and that is a way for people to say that they are serving you. They can only do that in certain circumstances, though. But just think about this. Anybody can go out there and get the paperwork started, claiming with some documents they downloaded off the web. They've gone online. They see you have a property. Your name, your signature is there on those documents online already. All they have to do is get a good forgery in there, find some shaky notary to do it, or forge that also. They can just completely forge all the documents and then file them and then show up and say, hey, now I own this property. So this is a big deal. I'm telling you, your life is all about how can I protect myself and my family from these scammers out here, because it is your bank account, it is your property, it is your vehicle, it is your name, it is everything. And they are going after all of it. So one of the things that I have taken to doing is just going online every once in a while. I'm putting in my name in the court files just to make sure there's not anything weird. And my name is in there a lot because I'm an attorney and I've filed a lot of things or been an attorney of record for a lot of things. And so when I pulled it up last time, I was like, wow, okay, that's a lot. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult for me to find something. But you're going to have to be vigilant. You're going to have to be checking your bank accounts. We need to do a better job of taking our passwords, writing them down, and changing them out every month. And I know you don't do that. I know a lot of people don't do that. I was talking to somebody recently, though, and that's what he said he does. He writes down all of his passwords, does not save them on his computer anywhere, and he changes them out every single month. Because he knows, he's in the industry, he's in the IT world, and he's like, I know it. I I know how easy it is for somebody to get in your system, steal your passwords, and go out there and take everything you have. So, I can't tell you to be this guy, because you can easily be that guy. Anybody could do this to you. So stay vigilant as best you can and be on the lookout for you, your family, and your friends. All right, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Mwah. Peace. I want you to hear this one from the horse's mouth. I've already done a couple of videos about title fraud. I talked about Graceland and how that one went down, broke that down. She was able to stop the foreclosure. But in some cases, people are not finding out about this until after the foreclosure has taken place and they find out they no longer own their home and that there are all of these mortgages that have been recorded on their home. Well, in this 8 on Your Side, from WFLA.com. I want you to hear directly from this fraudster who was on the FBI's wanted list on how this works. And you just got to listen to this story.
Pages. Now, this fraudster tells me all he needs is a couple of sheets of documents, and he can be making thousands off your home while you're living in it without you ever knowing.
I have had 27 driver's licenses in 6 or 7 different states.
Matthew Cox is settled in the Bay Area after spending more than a decade in federal prison.
I was basically responsible for $15 million in title fraud.
According to the FBI, it's one of the fastest growing white collar crimes in the country, especially in areas like Tampa, where the housing market is hot.
In about a month, I borrowed $1.3 million on 2 houses. Oh, it's just paperwork. It's all paperwork. Okay. If you can fill out paperwork, you can do this. This is not difficult.
He tells me criminals who know the right public records to request and fill out can start making money on your home in a matter of weeks.
I satisfy the loan. Now that you own the house free and clear, I make a fake ID in your name. I open up a few bank accounts. I apply for some loans in your name. I borrow 3 or 4 mortgages on your house in your name, close those mortgages in your name, deposit the money in the bank, pull the money out, and maybe 3 months later, they start to foreclose on you.
Cox says by the time you realize what's happening, he's already on to his next victim.
Nobody realizes how vulnerable they are until it happens, and then it's too late.
And so in order to protect yourself, what Cox says is that you need to be checking your home title routinely on a monthly or even weekly basis, which he says is something most people don't do. He tells me another really good option is to hire a company like Home Title Lock. What they're going to do is they're going to do those routine checks for you. And then if something does happen or something unusual pops up, then they'll hire a lawyer, I should say, and they'll advocate for you in court.
All right. That's exactly what I said in the last video that I did. It is going to have to become this thing where on a monthly basis, just like when you're paying out your bills, if you still have a mortgage on your house, you pay that mortgage and then you go online and see if there are any new mortgages that have been recorded. Look for those deeds of trust. Have they been recorded on your property? And it's awful that we now have to take this on, but if we don't, this is what happens. This is what can happen to you. And so she's exactly right. Now, in this particular instance, this guy was out there doing, getting the license. Here he says, getting the fake license and then going ahead and applying for mortgages. But the thing about it is, in most cases, somebody has to notarize your signature. So that is always the second question. Is this notary someone who's being vigilant? Are they really looking at that license to see if that's the person? And if that person is looking at it and saying, hey, yeah, that looks like him. I saw the license. Now that person's notary certificate is in jeopardy because even though that guy was a fake and a fraud, the expectation is that you're looking at this and you're really trying to see. You could be in trouble. You could be in trouble also. I'm telling you, this is a 24/7 job that these scammers have. And he is right. We're going to have to be vigilant. We're going to have to be looking at our titles, looking at our credit reports. We're just going to have to be looking at this stuff every month. Now, I will do some research on this company that she talked about and some other companies out there to see if this might be helpful, something that we can use, because think about it. Do you really have time to be looking this up every month? Are you really going to remember this every month with everything else that you have going on in your life? I mean, sure, we can all say, yes, this needs to be a priority if you want to keep your house. If you want to keep your house, make this a priority. But when you got a lot of other things you're trying to do, it can fall through the cracks. So again, just highlighting how vigilant we have to be now. All right, if this brings you up to speed, I cannot talk about this enough. All these things that we need to be looking at, cannot talk about it enough. If this gives you some more information, not trying to make you scared, but if this gives you some more information, please go ahead, like the video and subscribe. Mwah. Peace. Ms. Legalista here. Thank you for joining. This is probably one of those scams that really gets you worried and gets you concerned, because if you think through how bad this could have gotten with this babysitter who was involved in this job scam, then you get really worried for young people who might get caught up in something like this, show up at a house where you think you're going to be getting a babysitting job and find out that there's something totally different going on. The house is vacant and it's listed for sale. So who's going to be there when you show up? That is the scariest thing I think I have ever heard. But in this case, this young babysitter did her homework. Something didn't feel right. And we're going to see what she did and how she was able to figure out that something wasn't right here. It's another one of those times I tell people, if it doesn't feel right, if your gut instinct is telling you, hey, wait, just, you don't know, go with it. Take some time, pause, and figure out what's going on. But let's go ahead and listen to what happened in this case, because again, like I said, I think this is the scariest thing in the world when you think about how wrong this could have gone. Now, hopefully, Verizon won't do me dirty today, because it's just slow all the time, lagging. So I'll stop lagging with what I'm talking about. Let me go ahead and hit play so that we can see what happened.
But we begin with this. An innocent attempt to get a babysitting gig leads to a concerning discovery. A 16-year-old girl agreed to the job, posted on Facebook, only to find out the house she was supposed to show up at was vacant.
16-year-old Maggie Drozdowski loves to dance and dress up and wanted some extra side cash.
I joined a Facebook group. It was my first time doing that and gonna babysit someone like I didn't know.
She says last week she responded to this post in a local babysitting group that said, I need a babysitter for my kids, both girls, 1 and 3 years old, and I would like you to take care of them like yours, offering $25 to $30 hourly.
I mean, it was good hours that she put out, and it was one of the first ones I saw too, so that's why I picked her, I guess. And the kids are really cute.
Maggie says she reached out to the woman and they exchanged messages. She says the woman gave her the address in Downingtown, and at one point, the woman asked her to also help organize furniture she will have delivered, saying she will send her a check to pay for the furniture with an extra $200 to use for errands and toys for the girls. Maggie agreed to help, but decided to research the address just to be sure.
I just already felt weird about the situation. And I noticed when we looked it up, the house is for sale, which I thought was weird. And I told my mom, we called the realtor, and he said nobody's lived there since May.
The homeowners tell Fox 29 they have no idea who this person is. They say the home is currently vacant and for sale, and they're terrified their address was used.
It could have been either just a money scam, or someone could have actually been waiting there for me when I came, and it could have turned into something worse.
Euclid Township police say the potential fraud is still under investigation, but pointed to scams the Federal Trade Commission warned about this year, including a nanny scam. Warning, don't believe any story about why your employer sent you a check for more money than you expected to be paid.
I think everyone should be more aware before they apply to these and look into it. But there are some dangerous people in these groups too, because they're really big. So, I mean, I wouldn't say don't use them. They're good. Just be careful.
Now, the FTC says you should be suspicious if you are hired for a job without doing any kind of interview, either in person or over the phone. And they said if you get a check before you start working, that should be a red flag as well. We do have more of their recommendations on fox29.com.
Wow. Okay. Like I said, it throws you to know that there was a situation where she was possibly going to be going to a vacant home. Imagine showing up there. Imagine, the parents dropping you off when, a lot of cases the parents are like, wait, let me go inside. And why is this for sale sign in the yard? What is going on here? But she said she felt, you notice that part where she said she felt something was off? Like she knew deep down something just seemed fishy about this. I tell people this all the time. Go with your gut instinct. And she did. She did her research, and that may have just kept her alive. Apparently, they are still looking into this. But there are so many real estate scams going on. I recorded another one recently about a woman who was trying to rent a property. And it turns out the person that she thought was the listing agent was actually an impersonator, someone who was a fake real estate listing agent who was trying to impersonate the real person. It was just this whole twisted scheme, but she lost thousands of dollars, thousands of dollars. She was ready to move, got stuff packed up, hired movers, paid money, ready to go there, only to find out that this person that she gave this money to was not the broker. We have attorneys who thought that they were working with people who were buying houses, and so shared the account information so that the buyers could send the funds to the attorney for the closing, only to have the fake buyers scam her out of money. These real estate frauds are everywhere. People with pools in the backyard finding out that their pool is for rent on a rent pool website. I'm telling you, from beginning to end, I've heard about people with their down payments being told at the very end near the closing to wire the payments here. So by now, I hope people are used to hearing that is not one to fall for. Some of these other ones are a bit new, but that is definitely not one that we should be falling for any longer. So there's so many of these out here, just so many. I can't even keep up. I'm going to do a playlist. I think I'm just going to do, one video where I throw a whole bunch of these real estate scams together so that you can take a look at all of them at one time, because there's a lot going on around property, because people know that you have to have someplace to live. But now we see that it's also being used to trick babysitters and people looking for jobs. So be mindful of what is going on some of these Facebook groups. Like she said, they can be really large and they can have people up there who are up to no good. So keep your eyes and ears open. Make sure you listen to your gut instinct. Follow your intuition there. All right. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Peace. Ms. Legalista here. Thank you for joining. I'm going to be talking about real estate scams in this particular video. Now, I've talked about an attorney who actually thought she was going to be handling a closing for a client. She then sent her wiring instructions and account information to this client, only to have this client use that to take money out of her account. There also have been a number of real estate transactions where the buyer has saved up this down payment and they're ready to send it in so that they can close on the property, only to have a change in the wiring instructions come at the last minute. Because of that change, they end up sending the down payment to their home to a scammer and they lose that deal. In this case, I want to talk about renters who are using sites that are online, like Facebook Marketplace, apartment listings, and only to find out that the person they're dealing with is not the real agent. Let me bring this up and share with you this news clip and then break this down further so that I can make sure you understand how not to get caught up in fake rental property listings with a fake real estate agent.
Graham, we recently did a story on an Ottawa family who lost thousands in a rental scam and have since heard from 4 others who experienced the same thing. All signed what turned out to be fake leases. The real estate agent who they thought they were working with turned out to be an imposter. And it's not just impacting one brokerage, but several across the city.
It makes you very vigilant. It makes you very untrusting.
Jenna has been staying with a friend for the past few months. She's out thousands of dollars after the rental home she was supposed to move into back in March turned out to be a scam.
Everything had been set up, movers, etc., for this move. So it was a lot of tears and anger.
The place she found was listed on Facebook Marketplace in Finley Creek that was set up by a scammer using information taken from a real listing. She went and saw it in person, then filled out a rental application with the scammer without knowing it. She sent the money to a person who was not legitimately renting the property, and it's gone.
They seem to be a middleman. The scammer pretends to be the prospect renter to the agent, and the scammer pretends to be the agent to the prospect renter.
Let me break that down because that is the key in recognizing what happened here. First of all, understand this. She finds, or you find, anybody who's out there looking, finds this property that is for rent online, does her due diligence, looks at the property, goes over to see the property. The problem is the listing that she found was actually a fake listing that was created off of a real listing. So she was already into the scam even when she was doing her due diligence. She just didn't know it yet. So she goes to see this property. Now understand how this happened, because a lot of people are saying, well, wait, how would the fake real estate agent have access to the property? Well, that was my question too, because I watched this the first time and I was like, wait, back up. How did that person get access to the property? Well, here's how that happened. The fake agent actually went to the real agent and pretended to be a person who was interested in the property and scheduled a time to be there. So then when the person who is looking for the apartment shows up, it's the fake real estate agent that's there and not the real one. So there are a couple of things to keep in mind here when you're looking for these properties. One is independently verify who you are talking to. If you go online and you find a property and you see, they have some information there, do some further research. Go on Zillow, go on realestate.com, go on realtor.com. Go on other listing sites to see where else this property is listed, to see who it might be listed with, because the person that you may be talking to might not be the actual listing agent. And then you're giving this person money only to find out later when you show up and you're ready to move that, guess what? There's nothing for you to move into. So you've got to now do extra research. It's not enough to call them up, to go online and just say, hey, this looks like a legitimate listing because it's on Facebook Marketplace or on any online platform. Now you're going to have to double check. So she thought she was doing her due diligence here, but I'm telling you, the scammers are out there and they are finding ways to get around this. The second part of this is it also falls on the real estate broker who has the listing to make sure that they aren't just leaving people in these properties with who knows what is going on. And so where was the listing agent when this was going on? What is going on with the brokerage company that some unknown party is there and has access to this property? Number one. Number two, if you're the listing agent and you've left someone there, did you get a copy of their identification? Did you make a copy of it? Did you keep a record of who has been in that property and their contact information? Now, even if that's fake, make sure the picture matches. There are things that both parties can do to sort of make sure that this thing doesn't happen. I think really and truly, it has to be on that listing agent first to make sure that when they have people coming into properties, that they are actually vetting the people who show up. Because now you've got potential renters and potential buyers who are going to turn around and impersonate them. So again, a lot more with these real estate transactions. It almost doesn't matter where you are, whether you're a renter, a buyer, a listing agent who's being impersonated, or a real estate attorney. Everyone who is involved in the transaction is now being targeted. So keep your eyes and ears open. Stay safe out there. Share this information with people that you know. And if you've learned something new, please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace. Ms Legalista here. Thank you for joining the video. Okay, so this one, I mean, some of these feel really bad, and then some of these feel really bad. This is one of those ones that just, I was listening to this, I just felt really bad. Like this could be anybody's grandparent, great aunt, senior, relative, retired neighbor. that this happens to. Let me bring this up so that you can take a look at it and feel as bad as I felt. And this is only part one. There is another part to this that the news media is covering. This gentleman was supposed to be going to housing court, and totally ignore that at the bottom of the screen. This is not suspect in custody for this unprovoked event there. But let me go ahead and turn this on so that you can hear what's going on about this person who's being evicted from this home that he has been in for decades.
Well, a 90-year-old man in Brooklyn is fighting to stay in his home. He purchased it more than 50 years ago, long before the Barclays Center was built just blocks away. But now he's facing eviction after he says the deed to his house was stolen by fraudsters. He either has to prove that he is the rightful owner or get out. Eyewitness News reporter Tanya Rivero is live in Park Slope with the story. Tanya.
Now, before Tanya starts, let's take a look at the signage there behind Tanya. This person's like, help, help, help. It says deed theft, elderly owner facing eviction. Your involvement is needed. Scan to help, and they have a QR code there. You know, I've told you to be wary of QR codes when you don't know who they're coming from. This says the system failed him and the bank foreclosed. Let's go ahead and see what Tanya has to say.
Well, Liz, David, Ray Cortez came to this country from Peru in the 1950s. He worked hard to achieve the American dream of buying his own home to raise his family in. And now in his sunset years, he is in danger of losing that home. 90-year-old Ray Cortez has lived in this Park Slope brownstone for over half a century. It's the home where he raised his 3 children and expected to spend his final days. But instead, he will be in housing court tomorrow, threatened with imminent eviction because the current deed shows someone else as the owner. Cortez's son, Ray Jr., has been helping his father navigate the legal morass he says is the result of a decades-old scam.
You know, it's heartbreaking. You know, I mean, it's been too long for him to have to carry this with him. It's been devastating.
Cortez bought this house in 1969 for $20,000, long before the $1 million condos went up and the Barclays Center moved in. Now the house is valued at close to $3 million.
If you go into certain neighborhoods, mostly communities of color in Brooklyn, kind of from Prospect Heights over towards East New York, and then Southeast Queens, everybody on every block knows somebody who has been a victim of deed theft or real estate fraud.
It's a travesty. All you have to do is look at the paper trail and see what missteps have happened.
Neighbors like Tom Harriman, who's known Cortez for almost 40 years, are appalled.
The perfect neighbor. All of us on this street are just appalled. I mean, we cannot imagine what this must be doing to him.
Okay, so they're going to have a part 2 with this because in this one, they don't really give the backstory. But I do want to take a moment to go to the website that was listed on that sign that you saw in the background. So this is the website. It took me a moment to find that. I kept leaving out the 9. Justice for 91st Street, Mark's Place. Welcome to Justice for 9. Okay, same thing. Let's see if we can scroll down here and see if there's some backstory behind this real estate fraud that took away his property. It says, and let me make this a little bit bigger so I can really see it if I can. Let's scroll back up a little bit. All right, it says the story. The Cortezes came to New York City in the late 50s from Peru. Mr. Cortez and his now deceased wife decided to make a home in Park Slope. With hard work and sacrifice, they were able to buy this property in the late 60s. Now, you heard them say how much this house is worth now, or maybe you didn't. I can't remember if I cut that out, but it's millions now. It says, in 2006, Mr. Cortez was conned by a career criminal who, under the guise of helping him obtain a loan to fix the rental apartments, requested that Mr. Cortez sign over the deed to his home, which was paid in full. Shortly thereafter, this criminal took out a $700,000 mortgage unbeknownst to Mr. Cortez and disappeared. Along the way, the system Wells Fargo, title insurance companies, attorneys, developers, courts failed to do their due diligence to not only prevent this from happening, but also correct this criminal injustice. Mr. Cortez is in danger of being evicted and losing his home of 54 years. Now, here's the thing. Let me get rid of this here. A lot of times people don't understand what all of these documents are. They don't understand the rights that they are giving away. And so you have some con artist, some swindler come in and say, hey, we're going to help you get your place fixed up. We're maybe going to put you in this grant program so that you can bring things up to date, take care of some of the repairs that need to be done. And you don't realize that you're signing your deed over to someone who then has the title and can go get other loans and have those loans become a lien on the property. So, and it sounds like, look at what the date here is, 2006. So this goes way back. This goes way back a long time. So they've got some other information here. Who to contact. We need your help. This is July. And so this was just a few weeks ago. It says, so I guess this is an update here. Good evening. Hope everyone is in good health, surrounded by loved ones. It's been a minute since an update was posted. To be honest, nothing much has transpired until recently. The case in Supreme Court unbelievably was dismissed. The attorneys are in the process of filing an emergency appeal. The case in housing court was also dismissed and the eviction stay has been lifted. The housing court and guardianship attorneys are filing appeals to try to get the stay reinstated. If this fails, Ray Cortez will be heading to housing court on August 8th and 12th. That is today, August 12th. There is a potential that this court might issue a judgment of possession followed by a warrant of eviction. It goes without saying that what Mr. Cortez is going through is truly unfair and unfortunate, but we're still fighting. At this moment, we need your help more than ever. Please contact your representatives. So for those of you who are in New York, they've got the information down here on the bottom. They've got the information on this website. It says, here are some names, numbers, and emails that might come in handy. Your assistance with this can prove invaluable. The system, look at all this, has failed Mr. Cortez tremendously to the point where he is about to lose the only place he's called home for over half a century. And there you go. There's the contact information there. So for those of you who are in New York, in some of these neighborhoods nearby, if you know some of these elected officials, please reach out to them and have a conversation with them about how to help Mr. Cortez, how to help his family. And again, it says when contacting the AG, please mention that a deed theft complaint was filed in June of 2022. And apparently nothing has been done about it. Yeah, 2 years later, it says nothing has been done about it. That's what this says. Okay, that's what they're alleging here. So there you go. Again, this has been happening for a while. This tells you, if anything, that deed theft and real estate fraud is nothing new. But we already knew that, right? We already knew that. I think the issue is it just feels like there's more of it now, or you have more people talking about it now. I don't necessarily know which it is, but what we do need to do is to increase awareness about these types of issues, these scams and frauds, so that people can be aware of them and be vigilant and not lose their property like Mr. Cortez might lose his. All right. Go ahead, give the video a thumbs up if you've learned a little bit more about how to keep your eye out for real estate scams, real estate frauds. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace. Although I don't know if I can have much peace after some of these videos that I make. Ms. Legalista here. Thank you for joining. Okay, I hope you're ready for this one. This is actually an attorney who was scammed, which goes to show you that scammers will come after anyone. Let me pull this up so that we can take a look at what happened here.
A real estate transaction that never went through resurfaces months later in a shocking way. This next story you'll see only on 2, and it's a good lesson about who to trust with your financial information. CBS 2's Lauren Victory dives into the drama.
The amount of times money passes in and out of Ebony Lucas's bank account each week could make your head spin.
I am a real estate attorney, so I help people when they're buying and selling homes.
One home sale could involve several transactions. Of course, her law firm has business expenses too.
When I went to do payroll, there was no money. And I was like, what happened? $1,251.78.
Her company bank account showed a lot of subtraction signs.
$1,598.07.
She says the debits added up to more than $30,000.
And this wasn't me for sure. I know this isn't accurate.
Ebony immediately contacted police and filed a fraud claim with Chase Bank. Then,
let me stop right there real quick. So for my account, if you're able to do this with your bank, then go ahead and set up alerts. So I have set up a threshold. If there is any transaction that hits that threshold, I automatically get an alert on my phone. There are sometimes instances where I'm actually sitting in the drive-thru at the bank doing a transaction, and as it is going through inside the bank, it is popping up on my phone to let me know. I have also said this in another video. If something doesn't look right, I got a notification one time. I didn't even call my bank. I got up, drove over to the bank and had a conversation with them. And it was actually nothing. I just didn't know where the money was coming from. And I wanted to make sure there was nothing weird going on. Set up these alerts if you can, so that you can be notified when these things are happening to your account.
and she launched her own investigation.
The initial charges were for flagship credit.
She discovered on a call with that company that these repeated transactions were car payments. A closer look revealed a customer's name, McNary.
I was like, let me just check and see if this is anybody that's ever emailed me.
And there it was, Mr. McNary, part of a September 2023 home sale that never panned out.
Once we gave the instructions, he disappeared.
Instructions, as in wiring instructions with the law firm's routing and bank account numbers, in full. CBS 2 partially blurred them for the story.
3 days later, he charged my account for his vehicle. I found a phone number, gave him a call, and I said, hi, this is Ebony Lucas. You've been stealing money out of my bank account.
Hi, Mr. McNary. CBS 2 was able to get in touch with him too.
Essentially, your comment is that you have nothing to do with this.
Interesting, because Ebony showed us texts where McNary agreed to wire or transfer funds back to her. She says they even arranged to meet at Chase Bank, but he never showed.
You want me to send it via text or via email?
McNary asked us for proof his name is on Ebony's bank transactions. Then he called us back.
What's your last name?
And tried to tell us his last name wasn't McNary.
This guy sounds like such a scammer. Okay, give me proof that my name is on the account. Okay, I don't believe you. That's not my name. Like, he is going to come up with every ridiculous thing that he can. Listen to this next part.
Remember, he answered my first call.
Hi, Mr. McNary.
In the affirmative.
But I don't understand then why you would agree to meet Ebony at the bank.
That conversation.
Please leave your message for.
And this invitation for a Zoom interview went nowhere, but
I was breathless, shocked, surprised.
Trust us when we say the plot thickens. This woman's name is also on Ebony's bank transactions for more than $12,000 worth of bills paid to Discover, Home Depot, and Floor & Decor. She says she was dating McNary.
I was working on a project, and he was the general contractor for me working on that project.
The woman, who asked us to keep her identity private, tells us she trusted McNary when he asked to add his payment information to her Home Depot account.
Because him and I was in a relationship, he said, I'll just help you pay for it. Don't worry about it. I have money.
Home Depot, $1,984.
We now know it was actually Ebony unknowingly financing those bills.
So it sounds like he was taking, because now he had access to the attorney's account. So he was taking money out of her account or just using her account number and information to pay for his girlfriend's bills that he had his girlfriend put his name on. This is just she was right when she said the plot thickens.
Meantime,
I filed a lawsuit.
She's an attorney, after all, used to fighting for people's money. Lauren Victory, CBS 2 News.
Okay. So I talk to people all the time about looking out for scammers. When you're an attorney or you are a person who's working in a business setting, you are used to providing certain information to other parties. If you are dealing with online platforms, you are providing them with information. Sometimes I literally will go Google and search a company just to make sure they're fully legit, because just because they have a website and what sounds like legitimate people does not mean that they are legitimate. They could be scam artists, fraudsters ready to take your money. Once you hand over that account information, you have given that information to people you don't even know. A lot of these platforms will allow you to be paid via Square or PayPal. Use that. Put some kind of wall between them and you having access, and them having access to your account.
Ebony's lawsuit is against Chase Bank. She received a provisional credit for a fraction of what was stolen from her. Several transactions were not refunded. Bank representatives told us fraud complaints need to be filed within 30 days. Ebony says some of her denied claims were within that time frame. Chase Bank and Chicago police continue to investigate this case.
Now, let me stop there also. Here's the deal when it comes to fraud and some of these banks. They have all of this information that they share with you when you have an account with them. It says, hey, here's our contract. And it says, let us know within 30 days if there's any fraud and we will reimburse you. Well, guess what? I'm here to tell you that most of the time they don't want to do that, because the person who committed the fraud, the scam, they have the money. The financial institution has to take a loss if you don't get that money back from those other parties. And so they will come up with all kinds of excuses to say, maybe you were a participant in it. You have to have a police report. You have to prove that you didn't benefit from it. I have heard all of these stories so many times. People just trying to get these financial institutions to do what they're supposed to do. Lately, they have made it harder and harder and harder for people to be reimbursed when there has been fraud on their account. So I'm just letting you know, do your due diligence, try to protect yourself as much as you can. Both of these people, both of these women got taken in by the same scam artist, First with the attorney who thought this person was going to be buying a house or something like that. And then by the girlfriend who thought this person was going to be helping out, doing some work. And yes, they were in a personal relationship. This guy has no limits. We'll see where this goes. I actually should pull up the lawsuit to see what her lawsuit says, but the lawsuit again is against Chase. I'm not sure why she's not going after the guy. I would go after the guy too. I tell you, I would go after the guy too. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Mwah. Peace. Ms Legalista here. Thank you for joining the video. You know, when I first watched this video the first time, I did laugh out loud. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. And it's not funny to the people who went through this. And it really is kind of scary if you have a property out there and somebody's posting your backyard with your swimming pool on a site so that other people can rent. Yeah, that is a bit concerning. It was just sort of the nature of this. And I guess, you know, the scammers just are so creative, way more creative than I am, because it would never enter my mind that people would be out here doing this. Now, I've looked at deed fraud and all kinds of other scams that happen with banks and credit cards and text messages, but this is the first time I've heard of strangers in your backyard, which is how they have labeled this. How scammers try to make money off your backyard pool. Well, let's go ahead and see what's going on here.
Strangers swimming in your backyard pool while you're not home, or maybe barbecuing on your patio, all because a fraudster listed your property for rent and then pocketed the money. It happened to one Santa Barbara couple, and the I-team learned it could happen to you too.
Eric Thune and his wife Catalin recently retired to Santa Barbara.
Finally decided to pull the ripcord and move out of the Bay Area.
They put their Northern California home on the market. And then about a week later, something odd happened.
I get a text from my pool guy saying, do you know there's people at your pool?
Eric's home security camera spotted a family heading to his backyard pool where they soaked up the sun.
My mind was spinning. It was crazy to hear that it's a violation, right? I mean, this is your property. You don't expect to hear that people that you don't know are there.
Eric.
So no, no. Let me just slide this back a little bit. A lot of people have Ring cameras now and webcams, all sorts of technology on their property so that they can catch the comings and goings of people who might be delivering packages, people who don't need to be there, just things going on their property. They want to be able to keep an eye on it. So imagine you are this property owner and you get this phone call and you see these people just coming to your house to go hang out in your pool. I can't imagine how he felt when he saw this. It's just like, what in the world is going on? So it's always interesting because I'm actually going to go to the Swimply, the online app or system that you use to actually post these listings. Go to their website and check this out. I don't know where this is going in terms of the person who did this, but it's not like you can't go back and find out who this party was. But let's see where else this went.
You don't know are there.
Eric's pool guy put the family on the phone. They told Eric they'd rented his pool through Swimply, a site where you can rent private backyards by the hour.
He said, your pool is listed there. And I said, no, it's not. You're trespassing. You need to leave or I'm going to call the police.
But sure enough, Eric's pool was listed on Swimply, but he didn't do it. Apparently, a crook posted Eric's pool, snatching pictures of it from real estate sites to pocket the $46 an hour rental fee.
I'm shocked, right? How could somebody post a listing without verifying that they actually own the property?
A good question. Yes, Swimply that too. The answer? They don't confirm the person listing the property owns it. But Swimply did say once a listing is posted, it's not immediately searchable on its site.
Okay, they're going to get into that in just a second. So typically with these sites, you have terms and conditions that say, hey, for those of you who are posting listings on the site, you warrant that you own the property or that you have authority to be able to post this listing. Well, if you're a scammer, you don't really care about the terms and conditions, right? You're just up there to get a quick buck off of somebody else's property, and then you're going to hit the highway and you're gone. So it does sound like maybe they were trying to put some policies in place here when they're saying once a listing is posted, it's not immediately searchable on its site. Maybe, but let's go ahead and see what else they say about this part of it also.
First, the company uses fraud detection to catch bogus listings, which are removed within 24 to 48 hours. But that didn't happen for Eric. And Swimply didn't remove his fake listing until he reached out to NBC.
They can talk till the cows come home that they protect you, but I don't believe it.
The I-Team was curious about Swimply's fraud detection, so we teamed up with our sister station in the Bay Area.
Here's the pool I posted that I don't own.
Our I-Team producer listed a backyard pool for rent, but the property is owned by an NBC boss in the Bay Area. In turn,
I'm going to try to post a listing.
A Bay Area intern posted our producer's LA rooftop patio for rent.
Now, let me stop real quick right here, because that's probably a violation of their terms and conditions on their website. But if you were to go through that policy, everything that they have up there, there's probably something that says you shouldn't be up here posting sites that you don't own, doing things of that nature. I'm sorry, I've got all flustered now because I didn't have my phone off and my phone started ringing. So you don't go check this out, okay? I don't want you to get into trouble.
She grabbed the image from the real estate site Zillow.
It's asking me to finish listing.
Both properties were listed and immediately searchable on Swimply's site. The listings were there for weeks.
I think that's appalling, to be honest, that they can take listings for pools that they've never confirmed that somebody owns that property.
We asked Swimply what happened. It said the company's extreme growth resulted in some instances of fraud slipping through its cracks. It insisted fake listings are extremely uncommon, and it's committed to catching fraudsters. To help do that, it said it's added additional safeguards, like adding a button so users can easily flag suspicious activity.
I don't own this pool.
But even after this response from Swimply, our fake list listings were still on the site until we finally took them down. Eric says it's a warning for all homeowners.
I just want people to know that this, especially if you've got your home for sale, you need to watch out for this. A lot of times properties are vacant for a long time.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the key here. It would be different if this were not a situation where they were someplace else and the property, there was nobody home there, nobody keeping an eye on it. I don't know if he didn't, have neighbors that he was close to who were keeping an eye on it for him. At least that person could have then called him up and said, "Hey, there are some people who keep showing up at your property." Well, let's take a look at this Swimply website. You see it at the top, Swimply. Cute, right? Hosting on Swimply is simple. Create your listing for free. Set your price, upload a few photos, determine your rules and availability, and we'll make your listing live and ready to go. There's nothing in here where they say we're going to take responsibility for confirming that you own the property. I don't see that in here. That could be someplace else, but it doesn't sound like it's any sort of responsibility that they are taking on. They're saying we're just a hosting platform. Other parties can come up here and put information up here. We just provide the infrastructure. That's basically what they're saying. Accept reservations when you want. Guests will find your pool and request to book it by the hour. Now, here's the part that we want to look at. Get paid quickly. Once approved, guests are charged up front through Swimply's secure payment system. Stripe directly deposits your earnings after each booking, minus our service fee. Well, now you know how they get paid. There's no incentive on their part to sort of tamp down, whatever it is I'm trying to say, these listings, because they're not going to get paid if the listing does not happen and if somebody doesn't rent the pool or the backyard or whatever it is that's listed there. But here's the thing, a lot of this stuff is traceable. Somebody has a Stripe account. Well, guess what? That Stripe account is usually connected to a bank account. These bank accounts are traceable. So in the event that somebody really wanted to go after this, really wanted to file a complaint, really wanted to maybe come back and even target Swimply because, say, for instance, something really bad happened, the house burned down, something really bad happened to a person there, someone drowned, and other things that are so bad I don't even want to mention. Then at that point, I think the liability on Swimply is going to increase because now it's going to be, well, it's not enough for you to just provide this platform. You need to understand that you've got some issues going on. And they said that this hasn't happened a lot. But what happens is over time, if it continues to happen, then at that point, there's going to be this case that somebody, an attorney, is likely going to make and say, hey, this is an issue. You have put this product or service out here with, a defect to some extent, and you need to fix it. You need to be responsible for it because now you know that it's a problem and it continues to be a problem. So we'll see where this goes. And this is not just something to think about in terms of Swimply. The bigger picture that you should be thinking about is if you have a house for sale and you are no longer staying in that house, you are someplace else. This should just give you, a little bit more pause in terms of making sure that you have someone checking out on your house, checking your property, keeping their eyes on it, and keeping you up to speed if they see anything going on that's not good. There's just so many scammers out there, people moving in to empty homes. Guess how easy that is? Because they can go on the web, find real estate listings, see which ones look like they're empty, drive around until they find one. Like I said, a lot of people have cameras now. A lot of these homes have security systems. But for those that don't, yeah, there's scammers and fraudsters waiting to just take advantage of those. So, yeah, hope this provides you with a little bit of information here. If ever you're looking at renting something like this, double check and make sure that this is a property that you can actually use. Because, yeah, the owners, if they find out, they are definitely going to call the police And at that point in time, yeah, you're probably not going to jail or anything like that once they figure out what's going on. But this is going to be such a headache for everybody involved. All right. Please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.